Okay. So now I need to send the link. Wait, I need to open it here. Okay, so we can start. Let's see. So we was learning in previous Parashat about Yaakov and the Sav, right? So they had an argument, and after an argument they met and made peace on one hand, but on the other hand they didn't wanted to go together. Esav suggested that they will go together, and Yaakov said what we call in Hebrew terutzim. You know, it means terutzim. So if you don't want to do something, so you try to find an excuse why not to do it, but it's not a real reason not to do it. It's just an excuse.
Alibi.
Alibi. Oh? So Yaakov says that I have a lot of animals and a lot of kids, and they cannot go as fast as you are. And then Esav suggested, maybe if you can have some of my men, they will help you or guard you. And Yaakov said no. So it was very strange, because on one hand Yaakov wanted to be in peace with Esav, but we see from the end that it was only my explanation, that he was afraid of Esav, and he wanted to make something that will remove this threat and not more. But Esav, on the other hand, this is the paradox, that Esav didn't have intention to harm Yaakov, but on the opposite, Esav wanted to be with Yaakov. But Yaakov didn't want it to be with Esav. So it's very controversial story. But it's in the past already. Now we learn the next story about the sons of Yaakov. It's called Toldot Yaakov. vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megorei aviv be'eretz Canaan. לשבת means when you live for a long time. And lagur, megorei, means where you like a guest for a small amount of time. So where his father Yitzchak was guard, Yaakov was vayeshev. So Yitzchak was temporary in Canaan, and Yaakov settled there. Settled. Ele Toldot Yaakov. So now we have Toldot, and the word Toldot is in this book 11 times, I heard. So we have Toldot Shamayim Va'aretz, we have Toldot Adam, Toldot Noach, Toldot Terach. We don't have Toldot Avraham, we have Toldot Yitzchak. Now we have Toldot Yaakov. So there are several understandings of this word Toldot. Most likely it's history or children. Two explanations. So here I have Nachkommen. What means Nachkommen?
It means offspring.
Offspring, no? Children. But I tend to think that Toldot is history. So this is the history of Yaakov. And here we start the history. And history starts with Yosef. Yosef ben 17 shana haya ro'eh et achav batzon. So this is the introduction. So all the brothers was doing, they was shepherd, ro'eh, and he was like secondary. So Yosef was shepherd with his brothers, and he was 17 years old. He was the youngest. So what he was doing, V'hu na'ar et bnei vilha. So what means na'ar? Na'ar can mean young boy, young man, but also it can mean a servant. So most likely it's about service. So he was serving at Bnei Bilha. The sons of Bilha were Bnei Zilpa, and the sons of Zilpa, the wives of his father. And it's logical that you ask the youngest to serve. This is why the same word is used here for this. Vayave Yosef et dibatam ra'a el avihem. So his mission was to serve, and what he did in fact, he brought diba, ra'a. So it's bad, how you say it in English? Gossip, right? About them to their fathers. So it's logical. He came and he checked how it's going. So he saw this problem and other problem, and he came back to his father and says, they have this problem and other problems. So most likely the father was giving some tools to Yosef to come back and to fix the problems. This is how I understand it. וישראל אהב את יוסף מכל בניו, כיוון זקונים הוא לו, ועשה לה כסותונת פסים. So this is the sentence that adds here to explain the context, but it's not the part of this history now. So Torah says that Israel, which was Yaakov, one verse ago, he loved Yosef from all his sons. Why? Keben zkunim hulo. What means zkunim? Zaken, it's old person. So it's natural behavior if we have old person and young person. So it's contrast. So we have, for example, grandfather and grandchildren. So they're very close to each other. And here we have youngest son. So young son, he's very cute and adorable, and father like him for sure. So it's called Ben Skunim, the son of Skunim, alters they translate. So what was the indication or the sign of this love? Ktonet pasim. So what means pasim? So ktones, this is clothes, type of clothes. Pasim. What means pasim? So it's some type of expensive clothes. We don't know for sure. It can be colored, maybe. So regular clothes, they white without color, and this was colored. I just wanted to mention about Israel and Yaakov because it's very strange about the names. For example, when we had Avram, and his name was changed to Avraham. So after his name was changed, we don't see him being called on the first name, right? And the same Sarai. Sarai changed name to Sarah, and also she sticks with second name and not the first. And what else we have? Hoshea changed name to Yehoshua, right? So also the second name now is the name, so the first name we throw away, like these pictures, right? So this is the question about Yaakov. So on one hand, we have this story that the name was changed from Yaakov to Israel with this Ish in the night, with this fight. But on the other hand, we don't see that his name was completely changed. So we see sometimes he's Yaakov and sometimes he is Israel. So it's not clear what happens here. We need to think about it. So it's just a question. So let's see. ויראו אחיו כי אותו אהב אביהם מכל אחיו וישנאו אותו ולא יכלו דברו לשלום. So because Joseph was loved by his father more than others, and the brothers pay attention to it and saw it, that Israel loved Joseph more than all the brothers. וישנאו אותו. So it was the reason why the brothers hated Joseph.
That's interesting.
ולא יכלו דברו לשלום. Yes, so this is.
So So
They could not talk to him le shalom, for peace or about peace. So when they was talking to him, it was not normal talking, it was fight, right? What do you want to say? This is interesting.
vayeshev od.
Oh, so it's the continuation. So it's the beginning of the
okay,
story, and now we have the continuation of the story. Vayhalom Yosef halom vayaged lechav, vayisifu od snooto. So it's interesting. This is the topic, what you can do if someone hates you, right?
So
Yosef tried to talk, but it doesn't help, it adds hate, right?
Yeah, because Joseph, so the name means he to add, and here you have to add odd, so no. So
yes,
it's
yes.
another.
It's very good
it's a
poetry
form
here.
of adding something. So Joseph, it means it's positive, right?
Yes, because his mother had first child and she wanted more. So she said, Yosef Hashem li ben acher. I want another child because she didn't have a child for a long time. So it was positive, but here, vayisif od sno oto. Yes, it's very beautiful text. It's classic. So it was like the introduction to the story, and now we have the story repeated again in details. Yosef said to them, if you would please listen to this dream that I had. והנה אנחנו מעלמים עלומים בתוך השדה, והנה קמה אלומתי וגם ניצבה, והנה תסובנה אלומותיכם ותשתחוונה לאלומתי. So it's very short story. So it's about alumim. Alumim. It's interesting because their work was shepherd, so it's not shepherd, it's the opposite. When you have the field and you work at the field and you gather harvest, right? So it's not shepherd. Interesting. So you can see that this dream is not connected to their story, right? Because they was doing alumim. Alumim, so if you have this wheat, you take it together, you bind it together. So it's called me'almim alumim betoch hasadeh, and you put it in the field. V'hine kama alumati v'gam nitzava. So my, how I translated? Garbenhaufen. Garbe. They translated garbe. What is garbe?
Oh, it's what you described.
Okay. So my garbe.
Okay.
Kama v'gam nitzava. So kama is when you change. You was laying down and now you stand up. It means kama v'gam nitzava. Nitzava, it means that you remain in standing position for some time. V'hine tesubena alumotechem. But your garbe tesubena. It's what we do on Pesach. Hasiba, we lay on the bed. So your alumot was laying down, vatishtachaven, and bowing lalumati to my. Interesting. And so what this dream means, so his brothers understand. So they asking rhetorical questions. You will be the king above us. You will have a power above us. Of course not, because he's the youngest, right? So he was nar, he was serving the other brothers. And in this dream, and brothers understood this dream, that it means that they will bow to youngest. So it will not make sense. It's like Yaakov and Esav, right? So Esav is the first and Yaakov is the second. So it doesn't make sense that Yaakov receiving this Bechorah and receiving the blessing of his father. It doesn't make sense, right? Again, this Yosifu, and they added more to hate him because of his dream and because of his words. The order is a little strange here because first, okay. So first of all, he have this dream, so it's problem, but he could be silent about this dream, right? So he decided to talk about this dream. So it's very chutzpah, we say in Hebrew, not humble from his position. So it's very strange, this history about Yosef, because it looks like he doesn't. So he understands that they hate him or not. If he understands that they hate him, so why should he talk about this dream? Because for them it's obvious that this dream talks about different hierarchy. So now the hierarchy is Yosef is at the bottom, and still brothers doesn't like it. Why? Because Yaakov tries to make the youngest special, right? So it doesn't right. So it looks like that Yaakov trying to do the same trick again, right? So Yaakov was the second and he wanted to be the first. So now we have the son, which is the second. So Yaakov wants the second to be the first, right? So it's the history repeats. It's very common in the families when parents wanted to be something, so they want the same for their children, right? It's called rebel. Some call it trickster. You want water?
No. Okay.
Usually I use water, but this time I forgot to take it. So okay, so maybe we can see Russian, because maybe he will explain what's happening here. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. ועוד נדרש בו vayeshev, ביקש יעקב לשב בשלווה, טה-טה-טה, והוא נער. I'm looking for Rashi when he talks about Yaakov and Yosef and their relationship. Diba, parle dits in French language. Okay, so it's very big calculations in Rashi. He thought like this, and he thought another way around. Okay, so let's just see this quote that I'm looking. Mishkal shnei slaim galu avoteinu lemitzrayim. Let's see. Oh, leolam al yeshane adam bno bein abanim. Okay, so let's see how in oral Torah they treat this story. Oh, so in Masechet Shabbat it says like this: leolam al yeshane adam bno bein abanim. So the rule goes like this, that a person should not treat one son differently from the other sons. Why? שבשביל משקל שני סלעים מילת שנתן יעקב לעשו יותר משאר בניו, נתקנו בו אחיו. So why the brothers was envy about Yosef? Because Yaakov gave to Yosef two Sela, this is coin, 2 coins more from the other brothers. So 2 coins is not a big deal, right? But this small detail, when you're showing that you prefer someone above others, which are worse, so it makes them envy this one. So then we have a lot of big story, and at the end we have that our forefathers is in Egypt. So this is a quote from Masechet Shabbat. Oh. So our sages in Talmud, they think that Yaakov was the one responsible for this problem here, right? So Yaakov showed more love to Yosef than to other brothers, and it was the reason that brothers hated Yosef. So now it doesn't matter what Yosef do, basically they will hate him because Yaakov loves Yosef more than them, right? So this is how we can understand from Talmud. Okay, so let's see how it moves on. We already learned it, so we know that there was another dream, right? ויחלום עוד חלום אחר, ויספר אותו לאחיו. So again, this is very strange. He had another dream, and he decided to talk about this dream to his brothers. So why you should repeat the same mistake again? This is very strange. ויאמר, הנה חלמתי חלום עוד, והנה השמש והירח ו11 כוכבים משתחווים לי. The same shablon, right? So he says that I had another dream, and I have the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowing to me. To me. So it's even worse, because in the first it was this garbe. So one garbe bows to other. But here they bowing to Yosef. So it's even worse. Why should he talk this? Very strange. ויספר אל אביו ולאחיו, ויגר בו אביו, ויאמר לו, מה החלום הזה אשר חלמת? נבוא אני ועמך ואחיך להשתחוות לך ארצה. But here one different detail. The first dream he said to his brothers, and the second dream he said to his father and to his brothers, also to the father. ויגר בו אביו, ויאמר לו. So here his father, how I translate ligor. Ligor is when you, how I translate? Fur in. Ligor is when I'm not satisfied about someone, so I'm saying you did wrong, right? So it means ligor. ויגור בו אביו ויאמר לו, and his father says, מה החלום הזה אשר חלמת? What is this dream? נבוא אני ועמך ואחיך. So you wanted to say by this dream that I will come and your mother and your brothers להשתחוות לך ארצה, to bow to you. What's the meaning of this? It will not happen, right? Because you're the youngest, so you need to bow to the oldest, and not the other way around. So I remember now what I heard about, so we talk about chinuch here, about raising kids, raising kinder. So for example, if the parents have some bad trait, and they can see, because the kids, they repeat after the parents, right? So the kids repeat not only good things, but also bad things after the parents. And then the parents can see, like in the mirror, the reflection of their bad traits. So I had this association here that Yaakov had this bad trait, that he was the second and he wanted to be the first. So we see this similar dynamic in Yosef, that Yosef was the youngest, but he did a lot of effort to prove that he is the most important. And it looks funny because it doesn't make sense, right? But it's how we call it? It's called farce in theater, right? When we might want to emphasize how absurd it is. So after the history of Yaakov, we have similar history, but this absurd increases, right? ויקנובו אחיו ואביו שמר לדבר. So his brothers was envy about him. ואביו שמר לדבר. So this phrase is a little strange here. And his father shamar. What means shamar? Protected or saved this davar. What means davar? Word or means story. So this phrase is not clear. So usually we understand this phrase like his father was has some doubts about it, right? Because on one hand, it's obvious that this is not going to happen, right? But on the other hand, Yaakov already did this trick with his brother, so he thought maybe his son will do the same. So this is what means "Vayiv shamar et hadavar," because if for example, if you meet someone on the street that says some story to you that doesn't make sense and it's absurd, so you just forget about it and move on. So his brothers, they forget about these dreams, but Yaakov didn't forget about these dreams, he remembered about these dreams. So this is the drama here, dynamic. Okay. וילכו אחיו לראות את צאן אביהם בשכם. ויאמר ישראל אל יוסף. So the shepherds, they don't stay at one place, they travel, they need to change the fields, right? Because the animals eat all the grass at one place, and then you need to seek for other place. So his brothers, they go with the animals to Shechem, the name of the place, the city. You remember Shechem was the city in previous Parashat Shavua, the history of Dinah, right? It was very bad story there. So we can expect that something bad will happen now. ויאמר ישראל ליוסף, הלא אחיך רואים בשכם, לך וישלחך עליהם. But Yaakov didn't pay attention to the name of the city, and he says to Yosef, your brothers are shepherds in Shechem, so you should go there also. So Yosef saying, I'm ready. So in previous times I didn't thought about this history as a farce. ויאמר לו, לך נא ראה את שלום אחיך ואת שלום הצאן, ושאין דבר. So Yaakov, he says to him, so if you would please go and check how your brothers is doing, shalom, are they in peace, et shalom atzon, and how the animals is doing, are they in peace? So it's very strong irony here, because the brothers not in peace with Yosef, and Israel sends his son Yosef to the brothers that hates him. So it doesn't make sense. It reminds us previous story when Yaakov came to Yitzchak, and Yitzchak doesn't see who is the son, right? So Yitzchak confuses between Yaakov and the son. So the same here. Israel doesn't understand which son he sends to which son. He doesn't understand that it's bad idea. And he talks about peace, right? So Israel wants Yosef to check the peace with his brothers, but we just read that they cannot talk about peace. So it's very absurd. So from Hebron, Israel sends him, and Yosef came to Shechem. So let's see what happens to Shechem. Again, Ish. Like in the history with Yaakov, some Ish found him, but in the history of Yaakov, they had a fight. So let's see this time what this Ish will do with Yosef. So Yosef is lost in the field, so he's looking for his brothers, and he cannot find him. So this person asks Yosef, what are you looking for? Yosef says, I'm looking for my brothers. If you could please tell me where they now shepherds. So it's very important that we can see how Yosef treats his brothers. He wants to have good relationship with his brothers. So it's very similar to previous history when Yaakov did some actions in order to make good relationship with Esav. ויאמר האיש נשאו מזה, כי שמעתי אומרים נלכה דותנה, וילך יוסף אחר אחיו, וימצאם בדותן. So this person says, your brothers left, they went away from here. How I know? כי שמעתי אומרים. I heard they discussing about going to Dotan. וילך יוסף אחר אחיו. So Joseph went after his brothers. וימצאם בדותן. And Joseph found them in Dotan. ויראו אותו מרחוק, ובטרם יקרב עליהם, ויתנכלו אותו להמיתו. Very interesting. So his brothers saw him from distance, and until he came close, להתנכל. How I translate להתנכל? It's from the word takala. Takala. So I guess it's when you make a trap. When you make a trap to catch someone, so they organized and they had a plan. Fasten sie den Plan. They had a plan to kill him. Yes. Hitnakel. It sounds like a rare word. We call takala. Takala. Maybe I'm wrong about this root. I'm not sure about this word. Hitnakel. Not sure about it. How Rashi says nitnaklu, nitmalu nechalim ve'armumiyut. So, arum. We was learning about Nachash. Nachash היה arum. He was, how you translate arum? It's like a trickster archetype.
Ballistic.
So here also, they had some very smart plan how to kill their brother. ויאמרו איש אל אחיו, הנה בעל החלומות אל הזה בא. So it sounds like they starting to make fun about their brother, and they say to each other, so here, this is the בעל החלומות, the person with the dreams comes. ועתה לכו ונהרגהו. So now, let's kill him ונשליכהו באחד הבורות, and we will throw him to one of the pits. Maybe it was be'er. So when the pit is full of water, we call it be'er, well. But if the pit is empty, we call it bo. We call it pit. ואמרנו חיה רעה אכלנו. And we will say some wild animal ate him. ונראה מה היו חלומותיו. So let's see then if his dreams will be realized. What will happen to his dreams then? They say in irony, right? Because they're sure that his dreams will not be realized. So they was hating him. וישמע ראובן ויצא לו מידם ויאמר לא נכנו נפש. So Reuven, like always, he is the firstborn, and he acts, he shows initiative. So Reuven saved his brother from his hands. How? He said, "Lo nakenu nefesh." We will not kill a person, a man. ויאמר אליהם Reuven. So Reuven talks about moral. אל תשפכו דם. You should not spit blood. השליך אותו אל הבור הזה, אשר במדבר. But like you said, you should throw him into pit. So initial plan was to kill and to throw. But Reuven says, you should not kill, you should throw to the pit. ויד אל תשלחו בו. You should not kill him with your hand. Why Reuven saying it? Because it's the same. When you throw someone to the pit in the desert, he will die, right? So what's the difference? You will kill and throw to the pit, or you just throw to the pit? It's the same. What's the chances that Yosef will leave the pit? It's very deep. It's impossible to leave the pit, right? So Torah explains, "Leman hatzil oto miyadam lahashevo el aviv." So brothers wanted to make a very interesting plan. So Reuven had the plan of his own. Reuven had a plan to save Yosef from his hands and to bring him back to his father. It was the plan. right? ויהי, כאשר בא יוסף אל אחיו, ויפשיט את יוסף את כותנתו, את כתונת הפסים אשר עליו. I like this story, it's very classic, very symbolic. You can make a play in theater, very dramatic. So when Yosef came to his brothers, so they remove his special clothes, כתונת הפסים אשר עליו, so now he's naked and weak. ויקחהו, and they took him, וישליכו אותו הבורה, and they throw him to the pit. והבורק אין בו מים. So if it was the pit with water, so it was better, right? Because in the water you can drink water, so you will have higher chance to survive. But if you have empty pit that you cannot climb up, so you will die, inevitably, right? וישבו לאכול לחם. So what they do, they're not afraid, they calm, and they sit and eat. וישאו עיניהם, and they see now, אורחת ישמעאלים. In Russian we say caravan. Oh, it's from German, caravan. Ishmaelim, oh, Ishmaelim. Ba'a Megillat. Ishmael, it's very interesting. I forgot about Ishmael already. So we see Ishmaelim, so now Ishmael, it's not a person, but it's a nation, right? They come from Gilad. Ugmalehem nosim, and their camels carrying nechot, utzri, valot, olchim lered Mitzrayim. So I'm not sure what is it. It's like some species that you sell for big money, right? So they was coming to Egypt to sell it, right? ואם ירדה אל אחיו, מה בעצם כי נהרוג את אחינו וכיסינו את דמו? Oh. So it's very complex, a lot of characters. So we have Yosef, we have brothers, we have Israel, which is Yaakov, we have Reuven, and now we have Judah. So, and everyone have different understanding of the story, right? So, on one hand, Israel thought that everything is okay, and he sends his son to check is everything is okay. So, Yaakov doesn't expect something bad. On the other hand, Yosef also doesn't expect something bad. He says, I'm looking for my brothers, right? But on the other hand, we have the brothers that hated Yosef and wants to kill him. Now, the first character is Reuven. So Reuven wants to save his brother, but he cannot go against all the brothers, right? So he's saying to throw him to the pit and he will die in the pit, but Reuven have the plan to save Yosef from the pit afterwards. So now we have the fifth character, which is Yehuda. So Yehuda says to the brothers, Ma betza. So what's the point, what's the profit if we will kill our brother and cover his blood? Let's have a better plan. Lechu v'nimkerenu leishmaelim v'yadenu al tehibo. So it's better to sell our brothers to Ishmaelim, v'yadenu al tehibo, and we will not kill him. It's good. It's better, like morally, it's better, right? Ki achinu b'sarenu, because he's our family, right? Vayishmeu achav, and brothers agreed. So basically, Yehuda tries to do similar to Reuven, but to more extent, more far. It's like precedent, right? So Reuven was the first. He created precedent. So now we have Yehuda that follows the path of Reuven and trying to do more than Reuven, right? And he was successful. Very interesting. Very interesting. So we see that we need to work with compromises, right? So compromises work. But if you go just straight, like Yosef went to the brothers that hates him, and he doesn't even think about this hate, so it was not successful. Because Yosef was not recognizing this hate, right? Interesting. I'm just trying to find this name for the archetype. Sometimes if you go to circus, you can find this type of clown that doesn't belong, right? He's in his own condition. So it's like Yosef. Yosef doesn't pay attention to what he's like positive. So we call it naive today, right? He was
a dreamer.
dreamer. Oh, dreamer. Dreamer. So it's very interesting. So we see the path of Yosef, and we see the path of Reuven and Yehuda. Maybe it's not correct to make these parallels because Yosef was the subject of hate, and Yehuda and Reuven was in other group. So it was easier for them to talk to this group, and it was harder to Yosef to talk to this group because this group was in the opposition to Yosef. So maybe it's not correct to make parallel between them. So it's about groups, right? Oh, yes, I guess it's about opposition, right? So if you want to make opposition, so you make yourself in weak position, right? So Yosef trying to oppose his brothers, and it doesn't work. Right? Oh. So what is work is Reuven and Yehuda, right? So Reuven refers to what his brother are doing, and he's trying to suggest another solution to their problem, right? Which is the opposite of Yosef, because Yosef doesn't thought about the problem of his brothers. He was thinking about himself. So it's like selfishness, we can say, maybe. So Reuven was thinking about the brothers and their problem, their request. So Reuven suggesting something to realize their request to solve their problems. And also Yehuda. Yehuda was saying something how to solve their problem in better way, right? So it's about dialogue. So basically what Yosef was doing is kind of monologue, right, we could say. And what Reuven and Yehuda was doing is a dialogue. So first you need to have a dialogue and make yourself part of this party, and then you can make a suggestion to this party and influence on them, right? So I guess this is the way that we can learn from him. Okay, so let's finish this story until somebody. Oh, so we can finish this 37 until 38. A few more. So we have the plan of Yehuda, and brothers accepted it. ויעברו אנשים מינים סוחרים וימשכו ויעלו את יוסף מן הבור וימכרו את יוסף לישמעאלים ב20 כסף ויביאו את יוסף מצרימה. So then this סוחר, how I say סוחר? Handler? Merchant, oh, merchant, yes.
Or here, trader.
They came, וימשכו, יעלו את יוסף מן הבור, and they took Yosef from the spit. So about the language, it's not clear here the history, but we can try to simplify the history, the story. So it looks like they already thrown Yosef into pit. Then they discuss that they need to take him back and to sell them. So this is what happened. When the merchant came, the brothers sell Yosef to this Ishmaelim. But the only problem here is who was this merchant. Because in 25 we read about Ishmaelim, this is one nationality, but in 28 we read Midianim. They came, but when they sell to Ishmaelim. So it's a little complicated contradiction. Who was these merchants? Maybe they was both Midianim and Ishmaelim. So, like if you go to market and you want to sell something, so you can suggest this to one group of people, to other group of people, and you can discuss about the price. You can make today it's called tender. who can suggest higher price for your product, right? So they was talking to Midianim and to Ishmaelim, and in the end, the brothers sold Yosef to Ishmaelim be-20 kasef, 20 silver. ויביאו את יוסף מצרימה, and this Ishmaelim, they brought Yosef to Egypt. Interesting. So now we're coming back to character number 4, to Reuven. vayeshev Reuven אל הבור והנה יוסף בבור ויקרא את בגדיו. So it looks like Reuven was not there. We didn't start about it, right? Because Reuven comes to the pit and he paid attention that Yosef is not in the pit. So for Reuven it was surprise. We see this surprise, so he destroys his clothes, Klaida, which means sign of Avilut. So Reuven thought that Yosef is dead, right? Vayashav elecha vayomar. So Reuven comes back to his brothers and said, Hayelet einenu. The son is not there. Vani ana niva. And where should I go now? So it means that Reuven cannot come back to his father and says that Yosef is no more. Because Reuven had the plan to take Yosef from the pit, right? But Reuven saw that Yosef is not in the pit. So we see from here that Reuven was not part of this fifth character Yehuda plan to sell. So Reuven didn't know that brothers sold Yosef. Maybe, or he knew and Reuven disagreed with it because he understands that most likely Yosef will die in the slavery. So Reuven doesn't know what to say to the father when he will come back to the father. So now they're doing something together. ויקחו את כתונת יוסף וישחטו שעיר עזים. If you remember in the history of Yaakov and Esav and Yitzchak, Yaakov was also using this skin of this animal, שעיר עזים, to pretend, to cheat, to lie to his father. So he is similar. They was using this animal to lie to their father. Now it's Yaakov himself. How ironically. ויקחו את כתונת יוסף וישחטו שעיר עזים ויטבלו את הכתונת בדם. So they took in the special clothes of Yosef and they put it in blood of the animal. And what they do, וישלחו את, very interesting. וישלחו את כתונת הפסים ויביאו אל אביהם ויאמרו זאת מצאנו הקרנה הכתונת בנך היא אם לא. So we see very strong parallel between the son of Yitzchak that comes, and Yitzchak needs to decide, it's Esav or it's not Esav, right? So now it's the same. The closest comes to the father, and the question is, we found it, please, if you can say it belongs to your son or not. ויקרא ויאמר כתונת בני חיה רעת חלל ותרוב טורף יוסף. So Yaakov says, so Yaakov recognizes these clothes and says, it's the clothes of my son. חיה רעת חלד הוא. Wild animal ate him, tarov toraf Yosef. So in Trefa, this is the body, dead body that was attacked by wild animal. So how I say it in verb? Цариssen, цариssen. ויקרא יעקב שמלותיו, וישם שק במותניו, ויתאבל על בנו ימים רבים. So Yaakov destroys his clothes and puts sack. Sack, this is a specific type of clothes that person uses when he's in Avelut, Bemotnav. Motnaim, this is the bottom part of body, legs. So I guess his upper clothes was destroyed, and he have only the pants, but not regular pants, but specific pants from very cheap material, very not soft material. So he was trauer. So in Russian we also say traur, like in German, trauer. Yes, we have words in Russian from German, and other half is from French. And Yaakov was in trauer about his son. Many yamim we can translate like days, but also years. Many years. Or days. So let's go with days now. So every one of his sons and daughters, they started to lenachem, trösten in Deutsch. And Yaakov says, I will not be leitnachem. No, how I translate it in English, I forgot. He refused to receive this consolendence in English, right? Vayomer ki eret el bni avel sheola, vayev kato aviv. I will go to, how you say it in English? Geinam. Geinom? Sheol. Grab. So they translate it very good. So it means when I will die, I will still be avel about my son. Vayev kato aviv. So his father cried about him. And the bottom line of the story, last pasuk, so again we come back to Medanim, which is strange because the buyers was Ishmaelim. So Medanim, but also it's not Midianim, it's Medanim. So it's not clear what this word means. So they sold him to Mitzrayim, to Potiphar. Sris Paro, he was the servant of Pharaoh, Sarah Tabachim. He was responsible for Tabachim. So Tabach, it can mean two things. So this is the one that works with flesh, so he kills and works with flesh. So it can mean the animals or it can mean people. It can mean both. So this is the end of this story. It's not the end, but now next story is completely different story about Yehuda and Tamar, and the story of Yosef continues after this additional story. Okay, so I guess we will finish today. I wanted to say something and then so we need to talk about today parallel. Which parallels we have today about this hate and about peace, right? So it's about radicalisierung and compromises, right? So if we go radicalisierung, like Yosef doesn't give anerkennung for this hate, right? He doesn't recognize that his brothers hates him, and this is the reason why he cannot work with it like in a logical, in constructive way. He can, maximum that he can do is something emotional. He cannot work with it like with cold head, right? So this is the downside. So
and neither his father, he doesn't recognize.
His father is completely different story. I already forgot about his father. So
he doesn't recognize it as well.
So I see that his father, he exists in this how call it, discourse